Josh, where's the campsite? It's coming up just ahead over there.
Are you scared of the dark?
Absolutely. Yeah. But I'm with my friends. I'm okay.
Are you? Field of Geeks presents
The Super Unknown.
I'm Josh.
I'm Juan.
I'm Steph.
I'm Chris Hughes, the founder of SCI-PIT, South Central Paranormal Investigative Team, and our website is www.scipit.com.
I'm Patrick. I am co-founder of SCI-PIT.
I am Colin. I am lead investigator for SCI-PIT.
And I'm Matthew Bennett, founder of Dpart. We also have a podcast, Introspection on Skydoor Network on Facebook. We have a whole bunch of different shows on there. We've got people from the Netherlands on there. We've got a whole wide range of stuff on the network. It's all positive, uplifting stuff. Come on over and check that out too. Ray Hughes, that's Chris's wife,
Okay.
and then Carrie, which is his daughter and his wife.
My wife.
We were talking about the media professions, what you guys do. What are the laughable ones or just things you've seen out there? You just say, that's crap. That's made up. That's fiction. That's silly. You know, is there any examples of
Okay, like the show Medium. Like I've never
laughable
seen it.
representation of what you guys do, basically?
Some of the things you get from ghosts and EVPs are just funny.
Yeah.
I mean, they're hilarious. We were in an old funeral home. We got the elevator running, and it didn't run all night. It was like freight elevator. Like here, I mean, it ran. You hear the door shut, and it ran. But they'll answer you back. We were talking about food, or the owner got us pizza that one night. And we were talking about food, and he said, "I'm hungry." And hey, do you want me to pick that up for you? I mean, we got EVPs like that before. But they interact with us and talking to us. We could be having a conversation. They'll just butt in and say something, and it's funny.
Really?
Some of their answers.
One time I fell down some stairs. And out of nowhere we get an EVP. He's like, like, what am I supposed to do? Like, this happened again.
Interesting.
How often do you confirm, like, how there's actually something there that the homeowner or the business person says is there? It's something else.
Like
Are
if
you
nothing
saying like percentage-wise or something?
Well, not even necessarily percentage. Yeah, maybe.
Well, like if
I
nothing
guess.
happened, let's say, has there ever been a case where you've been certain, like, this person's just, something else is happening? I know you guys do investigating before you go in, but do you ever come to realize, like, maybe this person's just pulling our leg?
We've had
Or,
people, and I know you guys have too,
Yeah.
have had the people that are just out there for the attention. They just want the attention. They're so deprived for human contact that they're fabricating stuff just so someone will pay attention to them. That's not always the case, but we've had the gamut from that. It's widespread. It's a very wide can.
We had a case where the person said, "Oh, we've never heard of ghosts and everything else, but we looked at their cabinet. They have ghost hunters and everything else, and there's like, you're not telling the truth, are you?"
We actually had a private residence. They said that their daughter was being inappropriately touched while they're sleeping, and things would slam, and the dogs wouldn't go downstairs, and he got knocked through the door in the basement. Well, so we went, because we never know. And so we went in and stuff, and he showed the dog that the dog wouldn't go downstairs, but yet he was trying to yank the dog downstairs. And so we just thought that was kind of off. And so we stayed there and stuff. We had then found out that on his counter, not stooping, but they were out to see that he had a restraining order placed on him. It was just laying there. We found drugs on his counter, alcohol bottles in his kitchen. And then a drunk friend came over and is all like, "Oh, this never happens, and it was just, yeah, that's when you really start to
We
wonder.
find this stuff, but we still have to investigate just to make sure.
Yep.
sure, of course.
And we, of course, go over audio then, too, because you still never know.
And like this friend that came over, he was told that downstairs his friend fell in the doorway down there. When I asked his friend about it, he goes, "I was drunk. Could have just happened. I just tripped off the bomb step and fell into it." I said, "Okay, that's the boat right there."
Yeah, when you get someone who calls you and stuff, do you guys research the history of the property itself, or do they usually come with the history? Like they give you the resources?
It's
a healthy mix.
Yeah.
It,
What do you
it,
prefer? Do you prefer to go get it yourself or get it from them?
it depends on the story behind it a
Sure.
lot.
Yeah, and what you're looking for.
There was a place in Oskaloosa that we had looked up, and it's right next to the new firehouse. And there used to be an old firehouse that had burnt. And so we got stories on what they thought was happening and stuff. And so him and I, Colin and I, we actually went to the library, looked up all the buildings that were there before, all the owners, what was there before that building was there. And we looked deeply into the history, and we found names and stuff to go along with some of our EVPs.
What's there now is a music store, and then right next to it is a cafe, because it's a big building, but it's split down the middle, but there's apartments up top. And when we were looking up the history of the building, we could date that building back as far about 1900, 1890s. So we brought all this new information to the person, and she was astonished. She's like, "Oh my gosh!" And I'm like, "Yeah, because we did some digging. I dated it back to this far. It was this and this and this, all before it became what you guys have it, and and it sat right next to the firehouse. And now that firehouse has moved streets, but it's still in that same block.
Sure.
So I mean, when it comes to researching, a place, I personally like to go in and research, see how far back I can date the house, or
Sure.
how far back I can date a property.
Is there a particular time period where there's a lot of activity? Like events that occurred, like you were talking about the late 1800s, let's say, late 1800s, early 1900s. Are those usually time periods that have a lot of activity associated with them, or is it just kind of, whenever it goes
strongly
down?
depends on if it's like an old coal mining town. Well,
Sure.
that wasn't an old coal mining town since 1918s.
10,000 people at its height.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it hasn't been active.
Sure.
But yet that's where we're picking up activity from. Historic houses, they're old houses, so that's usually the activity that comes with them. But I mean, then other times, midnight and 3 a.m. is the most active time for paranormal.
Well, that's my other question. When you go to investigate properties, is it usually at night? Is that what's preferred? It is
It's
preferred.
usually always at night. I think we've only done 2 daytime ones, but it's only because we weren't able to get in there earlier.
Sure.
It's ghost hunters do it best in the night.
Ours is a fifth better. Well, we've had a lot of cases where the claims have been in the daytime, so we've actually gotten, we do it anytime that the claims are being made. That's when we'll go in and.
Very true.
Or sometimes the access is during business hours. Like for instance, it was the Hoyt Sherman that way. Like,
Yep, that was their guys.
like you weren't able to do that at night. You had to do
We
it.
did it at night. We were there a little bit earlier enough that we could do it, but then at night is when we done the main investigation part of it, plus the theater part of it too, which wasn't there before.
How late did you guys get to stay there?
Until 4 in the morning.
Really? Okay. I was just curious if some places was like, yeah, come on by, but midnight you gotta go.
Some places are like that.
Yeah.
Having lived in a location that's active, such as the school, I can personally attest, it doesn't matter what time of the day it is. I've seen shadow figures roam down the hall at broad daylight. I've got a video on my phone that I'm going to show y'all here in a little bit of a shadow figure coming out of a house on a porch, broad daylight.
I showed my kids that actually before
I posted it on
came.
Facebook.
Yes, I saw that, and they're like,
Broad
"That's
daylight.
a ghost."
Broad daylight. There it goes.
Yeah.
What are
So,
the-
but do you see that? Is that the kind of thing you see with your eyes in person, or do you only pick it up?
Something like
It
that.
depends.
So it depends. This thing had enough mass to trigger the motion sensor on it.
Yeah, right. It was a video camera, right?
It was a security camera. Matter of fact, the gal that captured it is here tonight. Niece,
Okay.
she's part of my team.
So that's another question I have. We were on vacation a couple years ago, and we had just gotten these really cheap Amazon cameras, and we have them
Well, they're
set
not
up.
crap.
No, they're not. They're just not. They're
Got a
not.
hand crank it
you
to
know,
charge it. Yeah.
you just plug them in though, like they're and then
Really shitty.
And anytime there's activity on the cameras, we would get notifications. So like 3 o'clock in the morning, I get this notification, and I swore, and he saw it. It's like an orb. I don't know what it was. It came out into the view of the camera, came down, and then disappeared through the garage door.
Did it have a trail behind it?
No, it did not. Right?
No.
Well, and
So everybody's like, "Oh, it's probably a moth or a bug," and I'm like,
Never
but it
know,
activated the camera, so that's pretty strong, right? So anyway,
well, like with newer technology, are you finding that it's picking up a lot more than?
like, do you get more calls now about that kind of stuff, or
It's mainly bugs anymore.
is it really?
Even if
Moisture.
it's an out or moisture, yes.
Oh.
Dust, a lot. If it doesn't have a trail, usually it is just
Or its own light
dust or
source.
Produces on light.
yeah.
But like the shadow video you have,
That's really cool.
that's from a security camera.
Why'd you ask about
Is
the
that right?
trail?
Because there are certain entities that when it's captured on film, we'll leave a trail behind.
You'll kind of see.
No,
on the
that's
video,
interesting
right?
you said that
Kinda
because
like
me
a
and my
tail.
brother experienced the exact same thing.
Say you
Really?
say
Yeah.
you took a picture.
So that was in Los Angeles.
Oh, okay.
We were on the balcony. It was like
Nothing wrong has ever happened.
9.
This.
It was like 9, 10 on the balcony of my apartment. There's nothing going on. It's just me and him were just talking. We were having kind of a spiritual talk, I'll say that. But then we were just sitting there talking, and then as we're talking, it's just big orange thing just goes right in front of us. Drives real slow. It's off. And I look at it.
Yeah.
And I look at him. I look at my brother and I go, please tell me you saw that. Please. Please tell me you saw that. Just tell me you saw that. He said, I was going to ask you the same thing. And I was
It
like,
comes down to that ass.
and I was like,
So does that happen though? Like they want to be seen?
Of course.
Or-
A lot of times.
Oh, yeah. They wanna be
It's
seen, they'll let you
something-
know.
Okay, so you guys were having a spiritual talk. I'm guessing it was.
Yeah.
I don't mean to pry, but one of y'all was discussing your spiritual path in life, correct?
at the time, it was actually, at that time, this is years ago. This is a little less than 10 years ago. This is when I was actually personally finding myself and my brother. I have a lot of siblings, but the only other sibling that thinks similar to our beliefs. Like, unlike these two, they have more of a Christian belief. I'm more like metaphysical. So I study metaphysics and things of that nature. And my brother is the only other sibling or person.
You guys were deciding whether or not you were gonna, if that was your.
We were just coming to this point in our life, in our spiritual life, where we're like, oh, okay, like we're discovering things. We're reading certain
Stuff like
materials
that, where it was
and different books and things like that, and we're just talking about the information and sharing information back and forth, and we're like blah blah blah, and like we didn't necessarily have like any agenda. We were just like, okay, like I think I'm gonna keep studying this stuff. I'm gonna keep learning this stuff, and then basically, boom, it wasn't like it didn't fly. It wasn't like a blur. It wasn't like something like, oh, I went like, what was that? No. This thing went right in front of me, and then right in front of him. It was orange. It had nothing to it. It was just orange ball. It couldn't be mistaken for technology. It couldn't be mistaken for anything. And I had to confirm with my brother that he saw it. Otherwise, I would have put myself in a padded room, just because that's who I am.
Situation, because what I'm picking up as you're talking about this, my empathic side, is that you and your brother are very, very close. I mean, like,
Extremely.
Yeah,
Extremely.
like almost attached at the hip, almost.
I mean,
spiritually.
we can go deep. I mean, I can go that deep, but I mean, we're saying like
Right.
our bond is beyond before we even
You guys
existed in this
share-
world.
One of your spirit guides is the same one, and that was the one that revealed itself to you that night.
Yeah, we're soulmates. This lady did a card reading on us. Like, we went into a crystal shop, and we did a card. She's just like, go to the crystal shop, and me and him, like, we're into all types of crazy things to what I would call normies.
Like the muggles.
And so we.
Point.
It's all right.
No, you guys are actually more open compared to
I
like
think that.
people that we're related to and stuff like that. And like my mom would never. No. So
She's
like,
very religious, though, isn't
you
she?
get what I'm saying? My dad, yeah. You know, so we went into the shop, and the lady had just came out of a reading. She just did a card reading for someone. And so me and him are just on. He's like, "Oh, did you see this one?" And I was, I'm just making rose quartz or something, whatever. right? And I'm looking at it, and he's like, oh, look how this is. And so this lady comes and she's like, I get a lot of energy off you too. She's like, do you mind if I do a reading on you? And we're like, sure, heck yeah. And then, so then she goes and she pulls whatever cards, because they weren't tarot. They weren't those type of cards. It was just some kind of card thing. So she's like, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, this is your number. And like, you're a 3 and you're a 5. Oh, you're the 8. And she's like, in my cards, you guys are the Christ. And me and my brother look at each other, go, high five each other, and we're like, well, duh. Because we just like that. Like, he's like, well, duh. You know, like, we're both like, duh. You know?
Came by.
And she's like, yeah. That would have been perfect timing. But yeah, we were like, well, yeah, well, we just said it to each other. We didn't say it to her. And I'm like, thank you. And like, we kind of already knew that from what we already studied at the time. Because like, my brother always claims the 8. He always says, oh, I'm the 8. He's like, you know, like I carry like 3 8s in my wallet. So I'm like big on the 8, which is the infinity sign. I'll go down that path another day.
It was also an angel number too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's just an abundance number. I'm sorry.
Angel number.
An angel number?
I'm pretty sure. I could be mistaken.
But like when you, that's what I'm saying. Like, out of this, I'm like the most excited because I love this type of stuff. Like, so I'm like I mean, I want to go into like places. See, I don't really call them ghosts, so I call them more like energies. So like, because ghost kind of gives you this hocus pocus deal, and my personal approach to this type of stuff is to take as much hocus pocus out of it as possible. Because if you were to be someone who is logical and reasonable, like, we know that matter is just energy at a very slow vibration, and energy cannot die, it only changes form. And we're big balls of energy, so we're constantly giving off energy, so we can't die. So that's why like the death idea is like interesting to me. So I'm just saying, like, this is just another energy, whether it may have been a person before or a cat or whatever. It's in a different format to simplify it. I'm trying to
some
keep it
people
simple.
say that no matter where you're at, any space of time, you leave energy print.
Yes, almost like a trail.
Yeah.
That's what
Man-made ley lines.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why when he said trail, that's why I was like trying to.
That's where some of these
dig a little
spirits
deeper.
come from, is that trail.
Right.
So are they not necessarily dead people then?
I mean, from like me translating death, it's like
More of a non-corporeal form.
I don't know what that means.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Non-corporeal.
It sounds great. Though.
It doesn't have a body. It's just nothing but a massive energy.
Okay.
I think that's one of the
Feels like
reasons
the
why people say they
energy-
feel coldness
Yeah.
when there's a spirit around, because we're warm bodies.
Right.
Like we got blood pumping through us, so that's that heat. You know, we generate heat. Humans generate heat. They don't have that vessel anymore, so there's no heat in that regard to be possessed. But when you get into like concepts of someone believing that they could be possessed or hosting or channeling,
Or even have different spirits jump in them at traumatic points in their life. Near-death experiences, for example.
oh yeah, it opens up different things. So like, it's just different like little paths and stuff like that. I like when you said the orange orb, it was just like, oh, like another one. Like, so then I'm like, it's not even like me ever saying like I'm crazy, because I got enough evidence for myself
Right.
at this point in my life.
But to tell other people.
But it's just like it's just another like form of confirmation. Like, yep.
Even just a little nugget of validation is a good
Just
thing.
enough. You know what I'm saying? A little more.
Just a
Come on,
taste.
give me that. Go and give me that too. I'll take that validation too.
That whole orb thing, that's another question I have, I guess. I don't know if you guys have this question. You might know. But so they say if there's an orb in your picture, that's a spirit or an entity.
You mean aura?
They know orb, where it's like a round.
It's like round spots in the picture.
Yeah.
Oh, I get you saying.
So what's
Is that a ghost hunter thing, maybe?
yeah, exactly. What's the
Or is another
likelihood that that's what it really is versus it's just dust or it's,
Minimal.
you know.
And well, 90% of the time it's dust, bug, something of that nature, something mundane.
Because cameras are just good enough to pick that up nowadays?
Especially nowadays,
or-
yeah.
So like if it's, I was born in the 80s, so say if it's from when I was a baby, is that more likely for it to be something, or?
You mean like on a Polaroid type deal?
That's the
Yeah.
only format that cannot be altered.
Tampered.
Is a Polaroid.
What do you mean can't be tampered by?
By digital altering.
You can't manipulate it.
Anything that comes out on
Yeah.
the Polaroid thing was what it saw and what it captured.
Because Polaroids are just film.
Yep,
They're film.
it's an exposure to
Right,
film. and
right
it's-
away.
So it's
it
film.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's no digital.
So if it was on a Polaroid,
Yeah.
it's not
Matter of
dust?
fact,
Like,
I don't know if you've all ever heard of this. Look up the Spaceman.
Okay.
It was a picture taken over in England. The gentleman taking a picture of his daughter, and then a spaceman was over her shoulder. Kodak can't even debunk this picture.
Really?
Really. And it looks like a spaceman.
I'm gonna find me a spaceman.
Look up,
Are you doing it
look
right
up.
now?
Well, yes, but KISS is coming up, so.
I'll wait for it.
Was it Kiss? Were they in town? Well, that's also another question, because, every time, groups like you guys, I think of ghosts, but do you even think of...
She found it.
I found it. That's
do you
interesting.
even think of aliens, perhaps? Or do you believe in that? Have you maybe encountered
More
something like
interdimensional
that?
beings than aliens, yes.
Right. It's not so 50s spaceship saucer.
Well, because you were
it's like-
saying UFOs out in that little town that you stay at. Did you camp there? Is
Buxton,
that what
yes.
Buxton,
Yes.
is that where like you camp or?
We've camped out there, yeah.
Okay.
We had campfire and everything. We usually set up where their general store used to be.
So that's a legitimate ghost town.
Yes, it used
At
to be
this point,
a
there's
old town,
nothing
full
there.
town. There's nothing left.
Okay.
There,
Like nobody lives there anymore or
No.
anything?
no, it's
Just
complete. It's gone.
foundations.
Really? But it's still
The
a
only
town.
thing really
That's crazy. to me.
still up in that comes from that town is an house that's over at the historical
entrance.
societies.
Well, the entrance has that original house too, but it's back in the
You can't
woods.
see it. It's covered by
Buried.
shrubbery.
Oh. Nobody lives there or anything.
Well, it used to be the owner's uncle or something. They won't let us go near it or around it, so he has a lot of antiques he said in there, so he just wanted to keep us away from there. But it's the only thing that we have. The vault that's still there, the structure of the vault, and then the warehouse has been decaying over the years, but it's still there.
Oh, by Albia?
Yeah.
Okay.
But we go out there and we
Google still says it's a town too.
It's
Yeah,
out
where-
of Bussy, Iowa.
Okay.
and where they set up where the old general store was. That's usually where we camp at, on top of the foundation.
Okay.
So like we're still living there, we're still sleeping there.
Wow.
And it's up high enough too, you can just look over the cornfield, or what used to be a cornfield, now it's just all prairie grass.
Yeah, what progress, yeah.
And you can just see everything from up there.
The Albia, Iowa Historical Museum has a quote-unquote exhibit for the Buxton, and they have railroad ties. We had found a rope, like what they
Metal
would
rope.
have, what they would have held like a horse with. Of course, it's rusted, but they have that on display.
And they have a
They-
display up here at the Historical Society too, up here at the big museum here in Des Moines too.
Historical building?
Yes, they have a big display on Buxton up here too.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Has it been there for?
Been there for a
has that
while.
display been there for a long
Patrick
time?
told me about it a while back.
Yeah. It's
Like years or?
it's been up there for a while.
Oh.
It's history because it's like one of the first towns that had African American and Swedish in the same town. Like, and they went to school together. They worked together. Everything.
Wow.
I mean, so it's one of the big utopias of Iowa.
Interesting.
So
Super interesting.
I gotta go there.
it's awesome. Have you out there?
What are the common places for investigations? Like we've talked homes, we've talked schools, towns. Anything else
Yeah, I
in
just
particular
found
that's
that,
very
yeah.
common? What,
Cemeteries.
cemeteries?
It's where
Is that
you-
maybe the most common?
That's where you start out from
Right.
most of the time. It's just, being a kid running around a cemetery in the middle of the night. I mean,
Sure.
up into actually having recorders and cameras. There was a cemetery in Pella, Iowa. It has one of the above ground vault things for 2 caskets, and there's vents in the side of it, which I never understood why there's
Why?
vents in the side of it. But we had a recorder on top of it, and we actually caught breathing coming from that.
You work here, and apparently you have there's a spirit here, correct? That's what I'm hearing from.
Well, they said there was, yeah. They said there's.
Have
well,
you
the medium was
ever-
here the other day, and she said there was a ton of dead people here.
So have you ever witnessed anything while you've been here, or do you feel strange being alone?
I think it's probably at its strangest when Jay's here, but that's just because he's an odd fellow.
Is Jay the one that Kelly picked up on with his grandfather?
No, that's 20
Oh,
downstairs.
20, okay. That's
Yeah.
20.
No, Jay works here as well. He's our video producer. No, I mean, I don't know. I'm just not that sensitive. I mean, the only time I feel strange is after I've had like Taco Bell for lunch, and that's later in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever went to a Taco Bell to investigate? Just curious.
never been
No.
to Taco Bell.
Taco Bell!
No.
I think you should.
Yeah, like have you ever went to a normal place, not somebody's house, not like, you know, like have you went to Walmart per se, or you know, watched their
No, Walmart's are bad.
I think
Shit
Walmart
happens
to make
at Walmart all
the
the
machine
time.
break,
Well,
right?
okay, so Southside Walmart supposedly was built on like some old.
Indian burial ground?
Sure, I'm not really sure.
You'll have
This
that.
close to getting into Broadlands Hospital.
Really?
My wife works there on med-surg at nights.
Really?
What things have you heard about that?
Anybody that's worked there for more than a year or two will have a story for you.
Yeah, that's gotta be though.
It used to be an old children's tuberculosis hospital.
Really?
Back in the day, back when it was still, there was a different name for it. It was the Des Moines Hospital of Learning, because it used to also be.
Tuberculosis lawn.
No, it wasn't the lawns until like the 50s and 60s when they came up with the contest.
That's actually it was TV lawn, and then they just shortened it to broad lawn.
So,
Just knocked off the T.
yeah, no, there's a lot of activity in that hospital.
Yeah, we actually went there as kids, and it was, yeah.
It's an interesting
It's actually, there's a,
This isn't gonna last.
the reason they
So
can't
many
build any
different-
further back on the property is because they're already sitting on Indian burial grounds.
Okay.
For
that
real?
happened a lot though back in
Yes.
the day,
Really?
right? Like
Was it?
it just didn't matter where they, and now it matters more where you build things.
Yeah, so that's why they're no longer allowed to go back any further closer to the river. That's why they're having to build up now as opposed to back.
So the reason the Walmart came into thought, and my brother has worked there since it was built, and they in the back room have weird things that happen all the
Which
time.
one?
The South Side one
Okay.
on 14.
14.
Yeah, and so they always feel like there's people with them when they're just the only one back there, and so that's why that one came to mind. But I just didn't know if you guys can just go into any place. Do you have to have permissions? Do you?
permission.
Yeah.
Do you?
Or
Can you hide it? You know?
There's no undercover.
Oh,
Yeah, like
I gotta say, as an empath, Walmart probably one of the worst places. Any Walmart you go to is probably one of the worst places you'll ever go to.
I can believe
As
that.
opposed to any investigation site.
Because there's been so much
Because it's
energy,
all
right?
the energy that's
Yeah.
there with everybody.
Those
It's
people
just-
are very unique in Walmart.
And that's why we go to Target.
Some of them have an argument to
Probably
be
some bad,
alien.
not bad too.
oh yeah,
It's too good of energy.
There's a
now.
reason why a group on Facebook called the people of Walmart, right?
right.
Oh, yeah.
right.
You can
And you can
anyways.
go. You
YouTube
think
it.
about what you're wearing when you go to Target, but no.
Target's in grade up-ish. You said something about.
My family has worked for Walmart for years, so I feel like I can talk about them.
I think it's higher up.
More of an adjacent.
It was one of my
deal.
first jobs.
Ah.
So. It's all right. It's not a bad place.
So you said something earlier about you got into this kind of through Ghostbusters,
Yeah.
right? Now, thinking of Ghostbusters, which is the original Ghostbusters, not
Are you
2016.
talking about the boxes?
No.
Okay.
Well, yes. I think we're on the same subject. Basically, the equipment that they were using. I know Egon, all that stuff.
100% real, right?
Well, I'm saying, is any of that even just the concepts of them? Are they even like sound towards you guys as actually?
What did it used to, the PKE that they used to use?
Yeah.
Kind of like the millimeter that we use nowadays.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm saying like obviously you're not shooting at ghosts. I hope not. I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
that's-
Take this here.
Maybe you need to.
streams.
Please don't cross streams, fellas.
Dan Aykroyd he wrote Ghostbusters.
Right.
His dad and family is in the paranormal. There's a book out that his dad wrote, and they're all into the paranormal. So being the kid growing up in that family, he knew a little bit about the paranormal and what to do and what to say. So he got his concepts from all that.
So
So he's
him
like
writing that
Ghostbuster.
basically. So basically, what that's saying is because Dan Aykroyd, his heyday was like 70s, 80s. So we're saying like even these ideas of like just the equipment you guys might use was back in the 70s, maybe even
That
the
was
60s.
knowledge just of what the equipment would look like, maybe in his mind, of what it would manifest to if he made it.
Right.
And then made these equipment on what he just thinks of.
But just I'm saying like the information and things they're looking for.
Right.
Okay.
I know how they work and everything, and then, hey,
Okay.
I got a piece of equipment here. This is what it's going to do.
Well, his original treatment was like huge. It involved like all kinds of crazy stuff. Obviously, Hollywood was like, "Hold up, Dan." But
Right.
He's a very intriguing person, and I don't know if you've listened to his Joe Rogan podcast.
Yes, I did.
I was going to bring that up actually.
Yeah, man, I would love. The only thing I didn't love it so much was it seemed like Joe Rogan takes in a lot of things people say, but when Dan Aykroyd's on, and I already know what Dan Aykroyd's going to bring. He, like, every time he said something, Joe Rogan would go, yeah, but they could be full of shit. I'm like, don't say that to anybody else.
Yeah.
Why are you doing this to Dan Aykroyd? Like, I think he's got a lot of cool theories, and I believe what he's seen. And
I wouldn't mind sitting down and picking his brain for an hour.
Gosh, that'd be awesome, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think Joe Rogan in general is trying to always be on the side of logic and reason.
Yeah. I do think he's
But then
an
he's not.
interesting character.
But then he doesn't hesitate to jump out there with his like views on HARP and other things like that.
Yeah, sometimes he's just a meathead.
Conspiracy
you know what I mean?
theory.
It's just
well,
like, dude,
Eddie
what-
Bravo kind of puts that
Oh
in his
my
head,
gosh.
probably. Look into it, bro. Look into it.
Yeah, no
Oh,
kidding.
God.
Oh my god.
Look into it.
Well, going back to the entertainment field of things, like what things out there on that entertains you, and it's similar to what you guys do that you kind of think they're on to something, like it's as real as you can get to what you guys do without the theatrics, if you will, or the made up equipment that can.
Like, are you saying like ghost hunters, like different shows and?
Yeah,
stuff
like
that are
but I've heard things about those
legit?
guys that haven't been the greatest either. Like, for instance, you guys said earlier, like how they do their show is they walk in and they already are on it, and they take out all that prep stuff. Like you don't have to do any of that. What out there is? Well, maybe we could go off of what makes you guys like appreciate. What do you appreciate and what you just laugh at? Like that's just
So
bogus.
fake, but-
Yeah,
Like-
anything that sticks out.
Like Paranormal Lockdown, I watch that a lot, and it's more realistic than some of the other ones. And they don't have everything just jumping out at them and everything that they have to really dig to get it. Most of them, something will happen, but they've been talked that there's been
Sure.
tricked and faked and everything. But they go into it more in depth by talking, and even Paranormal State, they used to do all their interviewing before, and you show all the interviews, and then they go into it and investigate. And those are just college kids interested in doing it.
Wow,
And that show was pretty cool until it.
that's cool. It shows
Yeah,
the preparation.
yes.
It's just now like, but
Right.
we're here.
It's more like what you guys actually do versus.
I just got here.
Yeah.
My hair looks this great.
Right.
Everything all makeup. Let's go in, guys.
One of my current favorites that's still on the air is Dead Files. Are you guys familiar with that one?
It sounds familiar, but I'm not
Is
too
it,
familiar.
what's it on?
Travel Channel.
Okay.
Amy Allen and Steve DeShavi. We've actually had Steve DeShavi on our shows a couple of times. Just a great individual. He's the New York homicide detective, retired.
Nice.
So he'll go and he does, and Amy, which is the medium, and she does her walks. She does her walks separate, so they'll never talk during an investigation. So he'll go and dig up, the history, talk to the residents, talk to share anybody in the community that he might think can help, while Amy goes on her walk. And then sometimes she'll do a sketch artist of what she sees, and when she's on, you'll see Steve just kind of look like he's gonna crap his pants, and then pulls out some pictures. The picture that she just had drawn with the sketch artist is damn near a dead ringer, and they don't talk at all through the investigation.
Wow.
So stuff that she picks up on is validated by stuff he finds, and stuff he finds is validated by stuff she picks up on. You ever get a chance to check out the show, and it's a really good show. The thing I like about them the most too is that they really are dedicated to their aftercare. They're really there to help these people that they're showcasing. Their producers follow up with the clients and make sure that they're following their aftercare plans, and it's not just the ratings to them. It's actually getting out there and helping people.
What's
Well,
up?
that
Dead Files.
that leads to another question. And so, like, you guys have successful situation, we'll say.
Yeah.
So everything goes smoothly. Do you run into the situation where the people that originally were the ones that reached out to you, do they go into any kind of mental breakdowns ever? Do they ever like have any problems beyond that actual initial situation? So like, let's say you guys did your part, you came in, you figured out there probably is some paranormal activity, or there wasn't. Well, if there wasn't, I'm assuming we already know they were kind of off. But let's just say you judged these people and you said, okay, they seem pretty sane. But then they, for whatever reason, after the situation, do you ever have any issues where people go insane or they fall off the rocker a little bit?
We've had cases where they didn't follow their aftercare plan as well as they probably should have by making the positive changes in their life.
Okay.
Because positive, like attracts like. If you're living a positive life, you're gonna attract that positiveness in your life. So getting them to make those physical lifestyle changes isn't always easy. Again, one of the many things we have to do as investigators. So stuff like that, and sometimes we've wondered if it's just them not wanting to do it, or if it's something maybe seeping back in. Again, it just so many variables.
Sure.
But does it happen often, or is it just very rare?
It's happened to us maybe 2 or 3 times in the last 9 years.
So very rare.
So you find something, something is happening at the residence or building, whatnot. Do you guys do anything to make that spirit, whatnot, leave? Or do you just teach them how to live together, coexist, kind of?
It depends on the client themselves,
Like what they
because
want?
a lot of them will say, okay, I don't care what the ghost is doing right now. They're not really bothering me. I just want to know that they're here.
Okay.
So I really don't want them to go anywhere. And
Okay.
some do. Some say, I want it out of here. By the time you get down, if there's something here, it's gone.
How do you do that? Can you
That's
make
with
them
blessings and everything like that.
leave? Really? And it
Yeah.
works then?
Yeah.
And is that like, my sister was, she's really perceptive of this kind of stuff. I wish she was here. She would have loved this. She was talking to my mother last night about white sage and rubbing it around the windows and stuff. They just moved into an apartment. And they said, as soon as they're all moved in, she's gonna do that. Is that like the kind of stuff you would do?
Yeah, we could do that. Holy water, salt, whatever we have on hand.
Sometimes you have to call on the big guns like the mediums.
Right.
Okay.
Have them come
a lot
in.
of it is what's the word I'm looking for here? Taking charge, setting those boundaries.
Right.
A lot of it is you taking the power and for that's your space, your living space. If you're going to be here, you've got to abide by such and such rules. If you don't, there's the door.
Okay.
Type deal.
So that hurts me though, because it's their space first, right? So like.
Yeah, they have, but you have to remember they had their time. They had their time there, and now it's your time.
Okay.
And so they also need to understand. Yes, it was their space first, but now
It's like them moving out. They used to live there, and they still want to have residence there, but it's now your time.
Well, like if they're.
Yeah. It's like
Yeah.
they're not letting go.
Right. No, I get
well,
that.
the concept with the sage
just
or
makes me sad.
even incense could be
Right.
used or something like that. What you're doing from that idea is you're raising the vibration very high. So like, not saying they're like low energy.
lower energy.
They're just
lower energies that vibrate at a lower.
They can't coexist
Yeah.
in that
So if
environment.
So if, for example, you go in and sage a place that's got an entity in it that vibrates at a lower vibration, it's going to lash out and it's going to make things worse, actually, than actually help things. So
wow.
So it's all about what vibrations your entities and whatever you're dealing with happens to be vibrating.
So you have to figure that out first
Yes.
before you can do it.
There's so many things you have to figure out before you can even put a plan of action into.
So like if she goes in and does that, that could actually bring something out that's there.
A lot of it depends on the intent. If she's not burning it, she's doing it for a house blessing.
Yeah.
That shouldn't cause any issues, but
And apartments, you have bleeding from one apartment to another.
Yeah.
So this
Buildings
one
are
has
so
something
hard.
bad over here, and you don't have anything, but then all of a sudden you get something, and you bless their house or protect their house. If it's still over here, it can still come in because it's the same building.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
That's so interesting.
Some people believe that no matter what you do, you're surrounded by ghosts or entities or spirits.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what you do, you walk from one room to another. It's not going to change because you're surrounded by different things. But it's just about what you believe.
Yeah.
It's all it comes down to.
So that makes me bring something else up too. Like my brother, he does not believe in this at all, and he says there have been so many people in this world that have passed on or whatever, died, been killed, that if there are ghosts or spirits, that they would be everywhere because there's been so many. Like, how do you debunk that? Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, we wouldn't even be able to be in here because there's so many in here.
We were throwing a theory around on our podcast a few weeks ago about how EMF is a big part of what we do, and detecting that EMF energy. Well, what if that EMF energy that we think is just everyday electricity? What if that's actually, if you're thinking, and I hate to nerd out here, but Final Fantasy VII, the way they believe the world had the life force that everybody joined back into. Mm-hmm. What if EMF is just the life force, and that's the form that we revert back to?
The oneness.
Yep.
Yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah.
If you think about your higher self, mm-hmm. the self that everyone is connected. I'm part of him. Mm-hmm. He's part of me. We're all part of one person. It's like a big ball with tentacles hanging off it. Each tentacle is individual, but it's still attached to the higher self.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So, and that gets again into the whole big.
There's a concept that you said that I want to kind of add on to. He was saying, like, in so many words, and I'm trying to paraphrase a little bit.
Fine.
You were saying along the lines of, like, okay, there's an energy there. What I'll do is I'll talk to that energy. Like, I'll directly talk to it. Like, so I'll say, like, what are you doing? Like, that's just who I am. But I'm being myself. That's just who I am. So I'm like, what's going on? What do you need? What's going on? And, like, I've yet to ever have any issues with that. Like, I'll just say, what's going on? What's up? Like, what do you need?
Now, do you get communication back with that?
I have a similar... I actually wanted to talk to you a little bit afterwards. I have a similar ability, I believe, than you. And you're the first person to ever say it, clear audio.
Clear audio.
So, like, I hear them like people say they see them. Mm-hmm. So, like, I hear, like, it's like my ears are my eyes. So I use I'm a martial artist on the side. So, like, even when I teach people, like, martial arts, I'm like, your ears are just as important as your eyes. Like, I can hear the breath out of someone, whatever. So
you would be interested to go through a Gansfeld experiment.
Yeah, I just want to hear it, but I can hear it. So what I'm saying is, it's not like they're gonna come out directly in words. It'll be something like as simple as like I'll ask a yes or no type question. Some people use this kind of theory with what we call a Ouija board or something like that. So a yes or no question. So I'll flip a coin. So I'll be like, heads is this, heads no. So what? Are you here for this? Heads yes, tails no. Are you wanting this? Heads yes, tails no. So something along those lines, but it's energy. So I do believe it exists because it does, and it's just, to me, it's science. On top of, for the people that need that side, or that hemisphere of their brain, the logical side, it's science too, because it's like there's energy there. So I'm communicating with that energy. So, like, I like the idea of what you were saying in so many words. So, like, you just kind of talk to it. So I just go and talk to energy. So I'm like, it's there. It's not the good and bad thing is not relevant in my head. Like, that's what I'm saying when you say, like, demons or something. Like he said earlier, like, an asshole's an asshole. Like, if he was an asshole or she was an asshole when she was alive, she's
probably gonna be.
That's her energy. That's her energy. That's his energy. That's just who they are. You know what I'm saying?
You also got to wonder about how many of those dogmas that we have follow us in life fall away once this body husk.
Mm-hmm. Right.
How much
left over
plug into that higher self?
Yeah, well, they talk about energies, and basically energies just, I guess the it's like a combination. Like, you don't mix certain energies with each other. So I don't want to be in a tub of water and then have a toaster plugged in, and then you know what? I'm gonna toast my bread in the water. those energies
Someone
don't.
thought that was brilliant until
Right.
it wasn't.
Well, he learned or she learned really fast. That wasn't smart.
Why we can't have nice things?
So basically, that's where I believe the so-called good and bad kick in. People don't understand the energies they're dealing with. So now they think, oh, it's bad because cousin such and such put the toaster in the water with them, you know, and so now that's a bad energy. No, those two don't coincide. They don't work well with each other. They're not supposed to work like that. And so it's understanding how the energy flows, understanding how this is how light energy hits and this is how dark energy hits. It's like, okay, well, I have friends who are what I call New Agers. I love those people. They're sweet. They're so sweet. They're the nicest people in the world. All right. And so New Agers sit predominantly on what they call the light side. So they'll be all light, you know, like energy. You know, they're very courteous and kind. I love that about them. But I'm like, you, from my point of view, you can't always be light. So I was like, okay, well, I'll have a situation for you. So let's say you're walking down the street and you're walking with your mother or you're walking with your child and someone comes up and smacks your mother in the face. You're going to hit them with light energy. Peace be with you. I understand you're having a tough day. No, you're going to dig into that dark energy and you're going to retaliate with dark energy. There's a time and place for these energies. So I ride the gray scale. I'm in the gray. I'm in the gray area. I'm not dark nor am I light. But people that don't understand how I use that energy, they may think I'm more dark because I entertain it more than a light energy person would. I'm like, I need that to get through certain things. Somebody's being a prick at a store and they keep messing with me. I'm not gonna be like,
We're gonna have to go to a little bit darker place.
I'm not gonna be like namaste.
You could just be pissy with you, put your hands on her shoulders, and knee him into the groin.
Yes, I'm saying like there's a point for certain energies.
Both. Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like I can't be all light. They're dark and night. There's the day and night for a reason. There's up and down for a reason. There's left and right. We're in a realm of what they call polarity, duality. So there's always an opposite here. So if there's a north, there's got to be a south.
Like a yin and a yang.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? There's a black, there's got to be a white. If there's short, there's got to be a tall, you know? It's just what it is. So understanding how to navigate through these energies that's to me a kind of the challenge.
It's key.
You know, like, yeah, it's very key. Like you understanding how to navigate through it. Like, okay, now when you get in deeper into it, you can aggravate a certain energy. You can aggravate a certain energy by saging. Let's say that. You can aggravate. You can push the wrong buttons, and now it wants to retaliate. So, because it's like, I don't do the sage thing. I know what you're trying to do, or in so many words. So
you can piss them off, basically.
you can agitate.
Yeah,
you can agitate.
It's easy to agitate.
You can agitate. That's the best way. I think that's the key word. Agitate. Because I don't want to say piss off.
We've had instances where they were straight pissed off about it.
They can be.
If you flying off the shelves.
like
If you do an
what
EVP
happens
session, you can. If they're pissed off, they'll tell you.
Oh yeah,
They'll
it's
straight up tell you they're pissed.
It's just that like I personally haven't ran into that issue because I believe of my personal understanding of energies. So I'm not there.
You don't ag them on.
I'm not aggravating them or doing stuff that would piss them off. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's like,
You're not provoking.
yes, if I could, I mean, am I capable of doing that? Absolutely. Absolutely. And like, yeah. And like, sometimes you'll ask for something and you'll receive it. That's why you were saying earlier, be careful what you ask for.
Oh, yeah.
You're very smart.
Yeah.
You're very smart on that because I played that game before and I asked for something. Oh, and it gave it to me. And it was brutal. So like,
I was in a
lesson learned.
I was in a museum and I asked them to do. I asked something to happen. All of a sudden, my cheek just started burning red. I was like something just slapped me across the face.
Like, don't
I
ask for that.
Bam.
So don't ask for that.
I just don't understand. Like my thing is, I just don't understand how both worlds can, like, it's a mental
Coincide?
thing. I don't understand it, and I think that's just because of how I was raised. Like, it doesn't.
I don't think it's
you
so
know.
much the two. I guess I wouldn't think of it as two worlds.
Yeah.
I see it
Yeah,
as
that's
one
what I'm
world.
saying. Like, I don't
I see it as one world.
It's just we've never been taught to.
Check this out. Right here, you people that are listening can't see this, but
He's got his hand
you see
above
my
his table.
shadow, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So that is fact that I'm right now in front of you guys
Right.
in this room, and my shadow's in another dimension. So I'm saying, like, we are all one.
Second dimension.
Yeah.
It's just, but it's one of the few tangible things I can say. I'm in both realms right now.
Not anymore.
Oh, now Josh took over. Now my shadow's on top of your shadow.
Hey, Peter Pan might make a differ.
Was that Wonderland? No, that's not Wonderland.
Neverland.
You know what? I love Peter Pan, but I've never watched this movie.
Oh gosh.
Where do you start?
But-
I don't.
I don't want.
You would make a good Peter Pan. Like, if you had a Peter Pan one.
Oh, I'm game.
Go ahead. Start with Hook.
Sarah Hook.
Oh, we.
You know, everyone says Hook is really good.
Yeah.
Theatrical, and he's gonna be wrong.
I do want to see. I do want to see Peter Pan
It's
though.
hot.
I just, for some reason, I have not seen it.
I
I've not.
think you did hit on a really important point, though, the duality. You know, even like, for example, you know, the spiritual side and human side. We have a duality to us that most people don't even acknowledge. They live their life in this human body. They think that's all there is to it. No, there's not. You've got to have that balance of both.
Bingo.
It's just like having a roommate.
What?
Yeah.
You ever heard that quote? It says, I am a spiritual being having a physical experience, not a physical being having a spiritual experience."
Yes.
Yeah.
I kind of want to take it back a step
I
back a
love
little
that saying,
bit
by the way.
to when you're talking
That's
about
awesome.
light and dark, because, you know, that kind of made me laugh a little bit, saying, "Oh, I'm all light." No, because anybody who's smart knows light cannot exist without dark, and likewise, you can't be all light, all dark. You have to have a little bit of both.
Gray.
Even when you're
Not even gray.
white,
It's like you can't exist without.
there's still
Balance.
There's still black particles in there.
It's
There's still
complete
black pixels
balance.
in there. But it's just the white is more dominant.
Right.
The black, but you still have those black pixels.
You got
in
both.
there.
They say out of the darkness comes the light. They're one and the same. They're like the two brothers that are like connected. So that's yeah. I don't want to go too deep into the Bible, but the Bible even breaks that down a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure. Well, I want to thank you guys. This was really, really cool. It's over 2 hours. We could have easily done 4, I
We're
think.
gonna
But
do
obviously,
two-part. We're gonna do this two-part.
What, yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
But what brings us all here tonight is the West End Salvage. They're having a.
It's Haunting at West End is the event name. We've kind of got a little bit of everything here. We've got some metaphysical stuff. We've got some paranormal teams.
Fantastic.
Costume party.
Yeah.
Yep.
Heck yeah.
We're doing it again on November 9th. For anybody
Yeah.
that wants tickets, go on there and go to look up West End Architectural Salvage on Facebook and get your tickets.
Fantastic. Well, thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much, fellas.
Anytime,
Thanks.
guys.
Yeah, don't be a
We can
stranger.
talk shop
Seriously.
all day.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Definitely.
Like we keep going. So if you guys ever want to be on or
I mean, should I let
through
them
the
go?
phone,
I'll keep
You guys
talking.
have a card?
We do, yeah. We.
Oh, hey, what's that?
yeah.
Hey, okay.
Ask and you shall receive. See, there it comes again.
Thanks, guys. That was
Not a problem,
that was
guys.
Yeah, thank you.
fantastic.